So the fear of abandonment is a genuine issue holding people back in their relationships. The fear of abandonment is this very intense, very prevalent feeling that for a lot of people clouds their judgment when it comes to their future relationships or their current relationship. If you don't know what the fear of abandonment is, I would honestly describe it as very much that. You are afraid of being abandoned. Now, where the fear comes from is very different for very different people. For some people it might stem from their parents. They might be afraid that like there was a time when they felt alone, and so they felt so abandoned. And as a child, we don't know how to process that, so it becomes deeply rooted in a core and almost a thorn in our side for most of our life. I know that when I was a child, I definitely had the fear of abandonment. Where I got it from, sometimes it's not necessarily worth getting too into, because there's a number of reasons why we have fear of abandonment. All I know is that on my first day of school, I was so scared that I went to the toilet. Before the first bell rang, I sat in the toilet and I kept drinking some water, because that way I would still need to pee. And there was no reason for me to leave the toilet. And more importantly, no reason for me to face that fear. Because that's what this is about. The fear of abandonment itself is not a problem. The fear of abandonment itself has never been a problem. It's our relationship with that fear. Do we let it happen? Do we surrender it? Do we go through it? Do we process it? Or do we fight it? Do we avoid it? Do we feel like it shouldn't be there? It's never the thing. Remember this rule. And if you do my latest course, what is it? Unlock Your Desires. You will know this deeply. It's never the thing, it's the thing about the thing. So it's never the fear, for example. It's the fear we have about the fear. That being said, what does that mean? Well, for example, you are in a relationship and you have a fear of abandonment. So in some subtle ways, you try your best to keep that person in your life, but it comes from an ungrounded place. It comes from a fearful place. That person can feel it. Ultimately, then, you end up pushing them away subtly and subtly and subtly as you need more and more and more reassurance to quell that fear. The interesting thing about this, though, is it was never the fear. It was the fear about the fear. So in that relationship, that fear of abandonment comes up. What do? We are afraid of feeling it. So we avoid it, and it then manifests as interesting behaviors. Honey, I need you to do these things for me because I can't do them for myself. This is where then needy behaviors come from. Also, because there is a rule in relationships that is very intense, and this is a rule for life, that we get what we are used to. If you are afraid of abandonment, and if you have a fear of abandonment and a fear of abandonment, generally what ends up happening is that because we are used to being afraid, we then attract and are attracted to people who will help us process that fear and, more importantly, help us become more comfortable with it, because we are already comfortable being afraid. Having a relationship that's good for you ends up becoming scary. It's scary and wild, because if there is no fear of abandonment, then who are we? We are not used to it. It's like trying to run a marathon when you can't even run 500 meters. There is a huge, interesting thing. Now, the exception to that rule is always you meet someone who's so just spiritually enlightened that they see through your fears and they're like, honey, I love you, it's okay. But this is a big aspect to it. That we have some people, not saying you, but some people have a fear of abandonment. And also, some people have a fear of abandonment. Can we have a fear of abandonment? Yes. If you watch a video like this, you're like, do I have a fear of abandonment? Oh, God. And that cycle can go. So how do we get over it? Well, if you're a fan of my channel, you should already know the answer. And if you're new to this, I'll tell it to you one for the first time, the answer is surrender. The answer will always be motherfucking surrender, especially if you're talking to me. 90% of the time, we have to surrender. What do we surrender to? We aren't surrendering to life. We aren't surrendering to, we're not lay downing our arms. We're not becoming this passive person. What we surrender to is the feeling. Fears pass when they are felt. Pain passes when it is felt. And it then is given the opportunity to be let go. It is then be given the opportunity to transcend and move on to its next powerful form, which is abandonment comes into wholesomeness, or emphasis on the whole. Wholesomeness. Without a fear of abandonment, what is there left? There is just wholeness. There is just a peace and resoundedness, an acceptance that sometimes people are going to leave you. The fear of abandonment is that fear of ending. If they are ended, I will feel abandoned. And it's that fear of the feeling itself. That when I feel abandoned, that is bad, and then I will be in pain. You surrender to the pain, there is no more fear towards it because you are friends with it. You let that energy run through your fucking core. And then as a result, since there is no fear of the pain of abandonment, there is no fear of abandonment, there is no fear, there is only wholesomeness. And you accept that some relationships are not for life, some relationships are. And the measure of a relationship is not its length. God, it is not its length. Our society puts way too much pressure on that. For happy ever after. Big fucking deal. This is why last time I was on radio, it was about relationships. And people were asking me, well, what's one thing you can do now? And I was like, flip it. Let yourself fully appreciate a moment with someone. Let yourself fully appreciate and count a relationship in your life, no matter how big. But here's the reason why I said that. Because when you surrender yourself, as I had, you surrender that fear of abandonment, you get through it, you get past it, you evolve, you let it go, you develop an expanded awareness towards it, which is a side effect. It's like watching a movie. Now you know what the movie is about. It's like looking at the fear of abandonment. Now you know what it's about. You realize that the entire time you were discounting relationships. And no wonder you may have pushed your partner away. Not saying you have, not saying you will, but you may have. Because you were using them to validate that fear to keep you sane. Now, I'm not saying this is everyone, because this is extreme examples, right? But Lord knows that I've done that. And when I am needy, or when we are needy as humans, that's what we do. We look for the other person to sustain our happiness. And they feel that. It takes from them. But when we sustain our own, when we have surrendered, and that was the process that I'd gone through. I surrendered individually. And this is the process when I'm working with people one-on-one too. We surrender the feeling. We surrender the feeling. We surrender the feeling. Eventually, it's just them. Their fucking soul takes wing and takes flight and realizes that any moment can be special. And the fact that it did not last does not make it not special. And when we get one special moment, we get more special moments because, as the rule states, we get what we are used to. And if you are used to special things and special moments, you get more of it. Not just because cosmic alignment and stars and all of this junk, but because at a fucking psychological level, if you see red, if you look for red, you'll find it. Look for blue, you'll find blue. Don't think of the pink elephant. Now you think of the pink elephant. You get what you are motherfucking used to. And so the fear of abandonment is the fear of the pain of feeling abandoned. But upon surrender, upon processing that pain, Suddenly, since there is no pain, there is no fear of pain, because we are comfortable with pain, there is no fear of pain, there is no fear, there is only wholesomeness, wholeness within ourselves. And here's the beautiful part. The fact that you watch this part further, you get this extra little understanding, which is fucking fantastic. This is my favorite shit about it all. My favorite thing is that anything you have processed, you can see in other people. Anything you have processed, you can see in other people. And because you have been through it yourself, you can help them through it. You empaths, you motherfucking empaths, I know you motherfucking empaths watch these videos. You will see more. People who aren't will become them. I don't place any, like, personally, I personally don't place massive importance on that. I think it's a good ability. I think everyone is innately aware of people's emotions. It's just more that, are we ready to see it? So I will describe empaths as more people being ready to witness other people's emotions. Now, here's the thing, right? If you're walking around and you're whole in yourself and you have processed that fear of abandonment, you will fucking literally see them. You will see them everywhere. Walk through a dense populated thing, you will see all these people, fear of abandonment. And you will have a choice. Do you help them? How do you help them? And you will see that one day, if you're single, you want to meet someone, and you will be the center of attention because you will be giving love, not taking it. But that's a video for another time. If you did like this video, make sure to do something. I don't know, fucking dance. Dance on the spot. If you haven't already claimed a free call with me, everyone gets one at this point of time. You can do that on my website. Link will be in the description below. And I have my new course, Unlock Your Desires, that is available now to purchase. It's a 6 audio coaching session online course, which is all about unlocking your desires, getting through, breaking through, surrendering your desires, letting them come up. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane. But if you are new to this channel, if you are new to me, you can get a free audio coaching session called 3 Steps to Unbreakable Confidence. That is in the description. And doing so will sign you up to my email list, where I send an email every Friday just about life, love, and surrender, and something I've gone through this week. All right, cool. So I'll talk to you soon. And yeah, whatever.